I don't I don't know if it's me or if it's this camera that doesn't look right, but my eyes are looking really puffy this morning or something. Maybe I'm not used to making videos this time of day. I have a stick here I wanted to show you, and it's not exactly a stick, but it sort of is. And if you look, I just cut this off a few minutes ago. I'm headed out the door for a trip, and I had a little bit of extra time. There's green color. You can kind of see that. The reason I don't get a new camera that has better detail is because I don't want you to see me any clearer than you see me already. It's clear enough. When I found out that you could make these video pictures big enough to cover the whole screen, I almost quit making videos at that point. But anyway, you see the green color there that indicates that this is alive. And I'm not sure, it might be a little too early in the year, but I'm going to experiment anyway. You can kind of see the length of this. Let me turn it. Let's see. Go all the way one way. It goes all the way from there to there. It's pretty long. I would say it's more than a yard long. Anyway, I went out to my grapevine this morning and clipped this off, and all you really need to do that is anything like this, any tool like this is these. I think these are wire cutters, and they work great. Just a simple tool. You could probably get one for $2 at the store. But at any rate, what I wanted to say was it's probably not too early to at least start lining up your sources for grapevines for your vineyard that you want to produce all these lovely, wonderful grapes. Like I said, I'm not a real expert at this. Last year, what I did was I watched the videos on YouTube about pruning grapevines and tried to interpret it. I watched and watched and watched and watched the videos, and I still wasn't sure I knew what I was doing. But I think basically what you do when you prune the vine is you leave, it's kind of hard to see these bud joints. There's one right there. You prune the living. This is last year's growth. This is what was tender and green last year, and it turns woody the second year. And so it has buds on it before the leaves begin to break, the buds begin to break, and the vine begins to grow again. And so if I understood the pruning video correctly, you clip this off. What I actually did was I clipped this off this morning as if I were pruning the vine for real, because I guess I was. And what I did was I left a couple, 2 or 3 of these bud joints, I don't know what you call them, there's a word for them, on the vine, and clip everything else off of this piece. So I think that's basically what you want to do, is you want to leave 2 or 3 of these. Can't remember what they call. This is where the green, each one of these bud joint things is where the vine is going to start growing green leaves out of there, and stems, and then fruit. So at any rate, I guess the idea, the concept of pruning is that you want the energy to go into producing fruit, not more green leafy things that are worthless. So there will be these dried up, I think they're called tendrils right here. There will be these dried up tendrils that basically, when they were green and tender, they wrapped about the size of a pencil. They wrap around whatever they can get. See my little finger? They wrapped around whatever they could get their tendrils on to hold up and support this, so that when the fruit hangs from it, it doesn't go all the way down, and that way it can travel and trail up a trellis or a arbor or whatever you have for your grapevine. So back to the topic at hand, like I got off track really badly. What you want to do is find somebody who has grapevines. And so today is the day to start networking. Anytime now is to start making your phone calls, ask around, ask the people you work with, ask the people you go to church with. This video camera thing is in slow motion right now, so it's really strange looking at myself because I'm not moving on camera like I'm moving in life, and it's very strange. At any rate, you want to start asking around at church. Ask your friends, ask your friends' friends, ask your family, anybody around. I wouldn't even hesitate, if I didn't have access to grapevines, I wouldn't even hesitate to send a note to somebody who has grapevines on their property. Just jot the address down and tell them, you know, you'd be willing to give them a few bucks if they would save their clippings or their pruning. I don't know what you call this. This part they're going to cut off the grapevine when they prune in the spring. that you would like them to save that. So what I did last year was I went ahead and pruned my vine. It was a little bit later in the year than this. I think it was sometime after mid-March. I went ahead and I pruned my vine, and then all of these ends with the green part where I clipped it off, I just put those down into a bucket of water. Now I left them in my garage because I thought I should allow them to break bud when nature wanted them to break bud, but I guess that wasn't the best idea because that doesn't encourage the rooting. From what I understand, and I'm open for corrections and comments here, but so I followed what I thought. I didn't find the information I was looking for on YouTube soon enough, so I followed what I thought would be a good idea, which they did produce green leaves. They started to break forth and started to grow, but the rooting wasn't sufficient for them. So I think I could have still made them grow. I made a haphazard attempt at getting them to grow. So I'm going to do it again this year, and if I can root a bunch of these, I will plant some and give them away. Now, what you probably want to do is get a hold of people who have grapevines and talk to them, and either they should give them to you for free or for not much money, and find out when they're going to prune. You might want to volunteer to go help them prune, because that way you would learn how to prune yours when you get ready to. If you have established grapevines, there are all kinds of marvelous videos on YouTube. One of them I think was made in North Carolina by a guy at a university, where he used a 2-liter plastic pop bottle and actually threaded a vine through the top of the bottle and put soil in it, and left this piece connected to the vine, and it was in the summertime, and did it in such a way that the vine sprouted forth roots in the soil when it was suspended. I'm not doing a very good job of explaining it, but I'll try to find that and put a I like it vote on it. I'm sorry, I'm all tongue twisted this morning. At any rate, there's lots of information on YouTube. So what I did was I got on there and looked, and they did break bud, and they did have green leaves, and I did make my attempt. But I think what would have been better would be to bring these in the house, room temperature, and have them down in water or wet newspaper or soil or something, and keep them wet, and see if you can't encourage the roots to grow. The roots should ideally grow out of the lower portion of this vine, and you should be able to plant it. So if I've got that all screwed up, somebody help me out, because I tried to study up on it. I think it's probably a little too early in the year, because these buds are not fat. They're not starting to swell at this point. So it's probably too early in the year, but I'm going to try this one anyway. I'm going to put this in the house, and if it begins to have changes and sprout roots, then I will show them to you on the videotape. So make your phone calls, do your homework. What I started to say, if you go to someone's house, and I got sidetracked, I couldn't remember where. If you go to someone's house, just take a couple tools like this. They may have you, I think some people dip them in bleach water to prevent spreading disease, but that might not be a concern this time of year. Shows you how much I know about this. Just enough to try to get you started in the right direction. It would also be good to have a conversation with somebody who has a vineyard, has their own grapevines, and find out how they do things. I think the best way to learn is from somebody who's done it, obviously. So if you volunteer to go help them prune, you will learn how to prune, and then you can take the cuttings home. There we go. And then you can try to root your cuttings. And I have seen on YouTube even where in the summertime they just take a green cutting, like a leaf in a stem, just a leaf in a stem, and poke it down into the ground in a wet spot and keep it wet, and it's supposed to root and turn into a new vine. So you should be able to have all the grapes that you could use, and all the grapes that your neighbors could use, and your neighbors' neighbors, and your Aunt Sally's cousin's Uncle Frank, or whoever. You should be able to have all the grapes you want. and they're really not that hard to take care of. 10 minutes. Did not mean to go that long. Obviously, it's a beautiful sunny day here. It is 34 degrees at the time. So again, what you're going to want to do is not let your screensaver go on your screen so you can see what you're doing. What you're going to want to do is take these, where'd it go now? There it is. This curly tendril right here. Those will be wrapped around other parts of the vine and possibly an arbor or a fence or whatever. So you're going to take your, when you get ready to clip it off, you get ready to remove your piece of vine from the main vine and this tendril is wrapped around something, just put your tool up there. It doesn't make a noise. I thought it was going to make a noise. Good. Sorry, not a good picture. Put your tool up there and squeeze it and pull that tendril off if it's keeping you from these. There will be so many of these tendrils in all directions that it's going to be a snarled mess because the vines won't let go of each other. So get your tool in there, grab a hold of that part of the tendril. That's a pretty good picture there because see, it's no longer attached to my stick. And cut it off of there so that you can get your twig off of there. So this actually has 1, 2, 3, 4, at least 5 bud joints or whatever you want to call them on it. You could probably make 2 out of this, but I'm not going to say so because I don't know. I'll do an experiment. Maybe I'll do an experiment and cut that in 2 and see if it'll make 2 vines, see if I can get it to root. So this is 12 minutes of your time. And the only way it was beneficial to you is if you didn't know as much as I did, which is not a lot. So I hope that you'll make your phone calls. You might even put a notice up at your grocery store, bulletin board. You might put a notice up on Craigslist. You might put a notice in your church bulletin or in your community newspaper or wherever you can get a little exposure and just say, you know, I will come help you prune your grapevines if you give me a little instruction and let me have the clippings. That would be a good trade if, you know, somebody could use the help, an extra pair of hands to thin out their vines in the early spring preferably before the buds break. And you could give them the help that they need with their grapevines. They could give you the cuttings, and then you could get a little wisdom and knowledge and experience and expertise at how to take care of your vines once they get into production. 13 minutes. I don't like long videos. I really do not like long videos, but if this is how you spent your 13 minutes today watching this, and you get, you know, a whole yard full of grapevines that will produce bushels and bushels and bushels of grapes. And reason being, okay, I'm going to go on another minute here. As long as I got you 13 minutes, let's go for 14. Reason being is grapes are sinfully easy to can. Oh my gosh, you can can them with or without sugar. Of course, I like them better with sugar. You can make grape juice in your sleep, literally, if you invest a little bit of money in a little bit of money. I was lucky. I found mine for dirt cheap, and I don't even think they make them like mine anymore. They're enamel. I have an enamel 3-part juicing steamer juicer. The bottom part of the pan holds the juice that's been extracted out of the grapes. The middle part of the pan holds the water that gets heated into steam. And then there's the top section of the pan has holes in the bottom of it. That's where the steam rises up and collects, bursts the grapes open, and the juice starts flowing from them. That goes down into I've got that backwards. The bottom section holds the water that turns into steam. The steam comes up through the middle, past that midsection, goes up into the top section where the grapes are, bursts the skins, and the juice starts to drip. That goes into the midsection through the holes, strainer holes in the bottom of the top section. The midsection is where the hot juice is held. It has a little tube that comes off of it, and that The juice is wicked hot when it comes out of there. So if your jars are wicked hot, and I don't ever recommend this, I do not ever recommend this, but this is what I did, because if your jars are hot, and I just kept them really hot. I didn't have them on the stove. I just kept really hot water in the jar and poured it into the next jar to heat that jar up. And then you take the tube where the juice comes out and push the little gizmo on it. And the hot, steamy juice comes out into the jar. If you got hot lids, and like I said, I don't keep them on the stove. I just keep them hot. Just run them under really hot water as I'm doing this process. Wipe the top of my jar rim, twist it on there, the ring band and the lid snugly tight. And then I haven't water bathed them. That's the only thing I don't water bath is grape juice, because it just doesn't fail. I have no problems with it whatsoever. It's absolutely marvelous, and it's no sugar in it or anything else. So you can buy those made out of stainless steel now, and you're going to probably pay $80, $90, $130 for one. Well worth the money if you're going to have grapevines. But sinfully easy to can that way. That you just pull you don't even have to take them off the stems. You just put the whole thing in the top thing, and out comes the juice. Put it in the jar, put the lid on it, done. Let them sit for 24 hours, let them cool, and wipe them down if they're sticky. Put the date on the top, put them away out of the light someplace. And the other way is to wash your grapes, either remove them from the stems, or some people leave them on the stems, shove them down into the jars, put a sugar water syrup in there, make sure everything's hot, make sure your jars and everything are hot, so you don't have temperature shock when you put it into your water bath canner. I don't heat my canner up to boiling before I put the jars in it, because I try to avoid temperature shock, and I have a really high success rate. I have broken very few jars in my years of canning. And so I would have it hot, but not boiling, or not have it turned on very, because when you pour the hot sugar water into the jars, I'm going way over time, 17 minutes. When you pour that hot sugar water into the jars, the grapes are not hot, and so the grapes are going to reduce the temperature of the sugar water no matter how hot it is. Sugar water, syrup, light, medium, whatever syrup you pour in there, it's going to reduce the temperature of the syrup. So if you twist the lid on and put that jar into a pot of boiling hot water, you're going to risk the bottom falling right out of the jar. So I have a whole different video on temperature shock, on why jars break and why jars don't seal. But back to the topic at hand. I'm just wandering all over the place today. I'm really sorry. I shouldn't make videos this time of day. That's going to cut me off pretty soon. So you put your grapes in your jar, either on the stem or off the stem. Pour your sugar water syrup in there. Make sure your water's not too hot. Put them down into a water bath canner. Process them for the recommended time. Let them cool a little bit. Don't take them out of the hot water bath immediately. Turn the heat off and let them sit for 20 minutes. So otherwise the liquid spurts out from underneath the lids when you take them out from the temperature shock. So don't do that. Let them cool at least 20 minutes. After it won't hurt a thing after you turn the heat off. If you're in a hurry, let them wait anyway. Try a jar. Lift it out and set it down on a clean white paper towel. And if the clean white paper towel starts to turn purple at the bottom, if you have purple grapes or red or whatever, then you know it's too hot. Let it sit. Let it sit for a good long time, and then take them out. If depending on how much time you have. That's why I run at least 2 pots at one time. In this case, I'd probably be running 3. Because you can easily do 100 quarts of grapes in a day. I'm trying to sell you on how easy it is to do grape juice. It's magnificent, and the grape jam is magnificent. And now we're at 19 minutes, which I think is an all-time record, if I'm not mistaken. So they're sinfully easy to can. The juice is just great to have on hand. The concentrated juice that you make with the steamer will make at least 1.5 quarts or 2 quarts, depending on your personal taste. Pushing 20 minutes here. If anybody has any other questions about canning grapes, get a hold of me, send me a message. But this is all you need. This is all you need to get started. It's a dry stick that just when you cut it off, look at the end of it. Again, you can see a little bit of green there. It goes with my shirt. Make sure it's green, and then you'll know you're cutting the right stuff off the vine. If it's, if there's no color to it, it's probably the dead part of the vine. That's how you can tell it's green. 20 minutes, I'm quitting. God bless your efforts to prepare. Make a list, check it twice so you can have grape juice. Bye for now.